Hey guys, what's going on? Sin here. Hello YouTube. I am back. I'm just making a quick little status update video on where channel content is heading into the foreseeable future, at least with Dynasty coming up and multiple other things. I have some Flesh and Blood news, stuff like that to just kind of talk about. I haven't really put too much out here, and I know I absolutely killed the YouTube algorithm with it. But the big thing that I wanted to just kind of go through is just where I've been. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you probably have no idea what I've been doing for the past month and a half. So quick little unfab related status update and TCG related status update. I started actually working at the LGS that I was doing TOing for, Heroes and Comics and Games here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Awesome crew was brought on, and I've been planning some relatively large cool little community driven events to bring some new players into the game Flesh and Blood. You know what we do here on the channel, what we talk about, what we kind of go over on the channel, and going from there. So I've been doing that for the past couple months, as well as playing in my local armories for the other shop that sponsors this channel, Green Tree Sports Cards, in Green Tree, Pennsylvania. John is awesome, has given me the tools to be able to produce content, and to that extent, there is some content kind of in the backlog that I haven't had the chance to edit quite yet. We did an Arcane Rising first edition draft. We're calling it the High Roller Draft as kind of a joke. I mean, it's a relatively expensive box, so it was a very big event for us to just be able to sit down with 8 players that decided they wanted to buy into it, as well as 2 players who were invited into it based off of their standings at our armories the month prior. I'm a bit disheveled right now. I've been up since pretty early. But 2 weeks ago, went to Niagara Falls with my family. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a great experience. I was able to kind of get away, unwind a little bit. I've also started a new position, new job, so I'm really just trying to, nail that to the wall, make sure everything's good there. Not trying to do a whole lot outside of that. Did some traveling. I went to Philadelphia, which is about a 5-hour drive from Pittsburgh. So, I was there for a couple days with my wife. We went to go see the My Chemical Romance reunion tour, come back together tour. It was fantastic. It was an awesome show. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know what I was getting up to all sorts of shenanigans in Philly. Great time, great place. Then this past weekend, obviously, and it's actually where I'm sitting down. I got home maybe an hour ago. And I'm sitting here. I was out in Columbus for SCGCON Columbus. We stayed with Logan from the Flesh and Pod crew. Got to hang out with Keith and Jake from the Realm out towards Ohio. Both of those folks, they're awesome dudes. They run an awesome shop, and they are also hosting a 10K tournament October 22nd and 23rd. Be sure to go check that out. Be sure to go sign up and check it all out. Keith and Jake run just a fantastic store. They have a fantastic community out there. I wanted to give them a shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to Jordan, Abbie, and Logan from the Flesh and Pod crew for kind of being gracious hosts to myself and my buddy Jeff. We went out to Columbus. We Airbnb with Logan and the whole crew. You can find some pictures on Twitter at Sin on Stream, at Flesh and Pod, any of that crew. We had a good time just kind of having a couple drinks, drafting Arcane. We had a really silly draft experience where I think there was 4 Kanos, 3 Azaleas, and 1 Dash in an Arcane draft, and we all kind of questioned what happened where there was just no Viscerai present in the draft at all. It was really funny, but it was a great time with great people. I did play in the Battle Hardened event. I took Briar into it. Status update on SCGCON Columbus. Really, that's what the purpose of this video is to kind of talk a little bit about the meta that kind of we saw forming after Prism Living Legend hit Living Legend in Pro Tour 2 in Little France. You know, there were in top 8, there was 1 Dash, 3 Oldhims, 2 Dromais, and 2 Icelanders. You know, Levi from Minmax Gaming was my round 1 matchup. He was on Icelander, and it was a fantastic match. Honestly, I hadn't really considered Icelander was going to be taking a spot, and maybe that was just in all the craziness. Usually I do some like pre-meta testing before going to any kind of event like that, just to try and like have some kind of edge. Didn't quite work out in my favor this time. I did go 1-3 in the event, losing my losses being in round 1, 3, and 4. Round 2, I played against an Oldhim, and you know, absolutely fantastic players all throughout the weekend. You know, just getting to see, I like getting to see, you know, a lot of folks that, you know, you can really only talk to like on the internet or like through Twitter, and just being able to have conversations with them, jam some games, even if it's like in the middle of a battle hardened where everybody's kind of in that competitive zone. It's really awesome to see, you know, the regular players, the regular, you know, the usual faces at these things. And it's always good to kind of see them, hang out with people, chat with people, get some good food in the area, really just like, become part of the grander community for Flesh and Blood. But I will say, I mean, you know, I went into this thinking, okay, you know, Briar may be on a fast track to Living Legend. And after this weekend, I don't entirely think we're in a full control meta, full control mid-range meta. I mean, the results from this specific event would tell you otherwise. But given that it was only the first event after Prism's gone, and nobody really knew what to expect, just other than it was kind of like that free-for-all where the meta kind of blows outward and comes back in, and really hones in on kind of like the top 4 or 5 heroes that are going to be seen. So I definitely think Oldhim, Dromai, and Icelander are, you know, they're back on the menu. Oldhim was Fatigue Oldhim mainly. I'm not quite sure what the crew or what the winning player was running, whether it was aggro Oldhim or it was like the more traditional defensive Fatigue. But I will say, you know, like seeing 9 Icelanders out of the entire pool of people, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a couple, but 9 was a pretty significant amount. I think there was like 109 players total at the event today, something along those lines. But it was I mean, being able to, you know, land your opponent with frostbites while also dealing that arcane damage, you know, even though Abbie doesn't cost anything off the frostbites, but with frost hex, you know, you're taking X amount at the end of your turn if you don't break those frostbites somehow. Whether, you know, it can get a little dicey towards the end of those games, and if you're not properly spec'd into preparing for something like that, like I took Briar in with Abbie 3. I was running Crown of Dichotomy, Vexing Quillhand, and just Null Rune Robes, because I wasn't going to risk the possibility of it just being a shutout game for Icelander and an arcane free for all. Maybe I could have gone with something. Maybe I could have played something a little less, maybe like 1 less arcane barrier, but that I still feel like that would have been a very risky move. You know, Levi and I had each other on the ropes, I will say. It was a somewhat relatively close match. I don't think it was, you know, there was a point where I realized, okay, you know, like no matter what I do this turn, I'm done. Like I've lost round 1. That's it. That's fine. But yeah, I genuinely think like Icelander has legs, and I feel like folks were sleeping on her mainly because Prism was still in the meta and didn't really think like she was going to be able to get around Prism. I feel like she still has that kind of tough matchup into Dromai, assuming Dromai brings in the dragons, and can really keep pressure on her, because of course without Singe in Icelander sideboard, like what do you do with that? You know, you really just try to race at that point, I think. But Oldhim is Oldhim. I don't need to really talk about Oldhim. We all know how Oldhim is. We all know how Oldhim plays. One thing that interested me was the Dash player. I believe it was Matt Dilks on Dash. I'm not sure exactly what that list was looking like, but I'm really interested to see it, because it made it to the finals with against Oldhim. And yeah, I mean, it was an all-around great weekend. I feel like the meta was pretty spread out. You know, my Briar deck, I didn't go with the Matt Folks list. I just went with, you know, I went with what I knew, really. So, you know, I'm happy I was able to squeeze at least one win out against an Oldhim, because that more traditional non-belittle Briar, I feel like, has some higher legs into Oldhim, because it can kind of just go wider. And maybe if you're lucky and you're playing enough of the blue Earth cards, you're able to keep Channel Mount around for 2 turns a little more consistently. Yeah, I mean, I just went with the basic build. So like, I wasn't expecting to clinch wins out, but I did have a good weekend. I had a great weekend. Actually, what I brought home with me, I got Mark Poole was at the SCGCON Columbus. Absolutely fantastic guy. Got him to sign this Tome of Harvests, as well as do this artist proof of Tome of Harvests. And I was really excited to get that done. Just because, like, you know, I'm a Briar player. I love Tome of Harvest. I love when it hits. It's one of my favorite like utility cards. So that was really cool to see that Mark was there. But yeah, no, SCGCON Columbus, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to try my best to get out to the Realm Gaming's Fall Brawl, which is the 10k tournament I had mentioned. I believe they're even doing a contest to get in to not necessarily a contest, but like you can buy the Fall Brawl playmat and get an entry into potentially being able to take part in a Welcome to Wraith Alpha draft. So that's really cool. Like I said, Keith and Jake are madmen. They're awesome dudes. Really happy to kind of like get a better taste of the social side of the Flesh and Blood community, especially in Ohio. You know, I know there were folks that came up from Utah, Iowa, Cincy. You know, myself, Jeff, came from Pittsburgh, and then, you know, there's also Pat and Charles from Pittsburgh that they come out to go out to all the events and just really have a good time. So I was able to kind of dig deep and really meet people and hang with people and have just a good time, you know, playing the game that we love playing. But like I said, I have some videos in the backlog. I'm really going to try and get them out. I might start doing some like TTS playtesting stuff. I haven't really dabbled too much in Fab Online. I haven't had the time to. I know that there's a lot of folks talking about that on Twitter. I'd really like to check it out. I genuinely would. I just haven't had a whole lot of time. And any time that I have had, I've spent trying to, you know, like do adult things and just make sure like I'm taking care of my responsibilities. Obviously, like after that weekend, like I need a good shave trim up. I need to go like 3 weeks of back-to-back travel. I need to go like take a nap instead of sitting here in front of YouTube. But I am happy to see YouTube again. I am happy to talk to you guys. It was great. And once again, I just have to give a shout out to Logan, Abbie, and Jordan of the Flesh and Pod podcast. Be sure to go check those guys. Be sure to go check them out. They're fantastic people, fantastic folks, incredible hospitality. You know, we were both, Jeff and I were invited to the Airbnb, just kind of like as a, yeah, come on out. And we came on out. We went on out. We, you know, were able to play just some drafts with Keith and Jake from, you know, the Realm, and a bunch of other awesome players that just, you know, we were all hanging out. It was a good time. And thanks to everybody for just an awesome weekend, getting to kind of meet some of the outer community. I plan on probably recording some more games throughout the next couple weeks at our LGSs and doing various things. I have some announcements too I'm going to be making, and you can expect the channel to be kicking back into gear a little bit here. I just kind of had to take a little bit of a summer vacay, if that makes sense. Typically before I do stuff like that, I try to have videos kind of like once a week, like backlog, like boom, but the way things fell this time around, I just had so much going on, it was impossible. So definitely thank you guys if you are still subscribed. We have 5 subscribers left until we hit 700. When we hit 1,000, I still have that cold foil Redliner Crucible of War first edition that I am going to be giving away. I also have the Patreon. If you would like to support the Patreon, that is going to be going into you know, buying product for the channel, as well as giving back to you guys in any capacity. If there's anything that you guys would like to see from the Patreon, please let me know down below. Just a little status update, and I really hope you guys all have a great rest of your holiday weekend here in the US. I'm very excited for Dynasty. We're going to be ramping up, talking more about that. I probably have some kind of like lore video or something like that coming soon. But once again, thank you guys so much, and absolutely have a great weekend. Rest of your holiday weekend. Sin is out of here. Later.